Anyway, we are jumping into the final canon Guilty Gear for this little Disney retrospective pre-Strive. So, the Team Red designation is interesting because there really isn't, like, a Team Blue anymore, which was more like the Blaze Blue side of things. Also, it's a weird case where the intro movie doesn't play on its own, so I'm just gonna sit here for a moment so we get to see it. It's one of those situations where patches were only sort of becoming a thing at this point, so sometimes they would go all the way to just making an updated version. So the first version of Xrd is actually Xrd Sign, but Disney isn't in that one beyond a brief story appearance. She's not actually playable until Rev 2, so that's why we're skipping that. She's also, like, barely in Guilty Gear 2 Overture, which is why we're skipping that one as well. So again, if we're specifically focusing on the games with Dizzy, we have a bit of a jump here, and I do want to go into that, because it's the whole complicated mess of why the story ends up being done the way it is, actually. But this is the most feature-complete version of Rev 2, even, because the Steam version specifically does have rollback netcode. I don't think they even added that to the PS4 version, if I'm remembering right, or at least I don't think they did. Also, obviously no crossplay because of that. In general, people still really like this game a lot, and Accent Core for that matter, just because, again, some people actually find the simplified gatlings, for example, in the wall breaks of Strive, to be, like, a weird change, so some people still swear by the older Guilty Gears as well as a lot of fun. First of all, let's check settings. I think I messed something up, because one cool feature in this game is you can actually do, like, system voice settings, so you can have, like, actual characters as the announcer. Obviously, the most famous one is May, because she cannot pronounce Elfelt. But since this is the Dizzy playthrough that I have done up to this point, we'll have Dizzy as the system voice. But before we jump into actually playing the game, I do want to quickly dive into the terminology list for a moment. This game and Strive both have huge compendiums talking about all the characters and lore, and even, like, development stuff, and even entries for, like, the actual games. It's very thorough, though I'm pretty sure there are some mistranslations and typos from time to time, so it's not like an end-all be-all source, and even then some things happen retconned out. A major example is Dizzy, where this very game essentially retcons a small element of her bio. So, to give a bit of explanation about the jump from Accent Core to Rev 2, if I'm not mistaken, what happened was Sega merged with the company Sammy, that was the original publisher of Guilty Gear, and because of some legal issues, they basically weren't allowed to use characters other than Soul or Kai, if I'm not mistaken. So they wanted to do, like, a story-driven Guilty Gear, but unfortunately couldn't even, like, include a lot of the characters. So there's a lot of original characters in that particular game. One of the most odd inclusions in that game is actually Dizzy, though, who basically is a major player because the antagonists want to collect her gear cells in order to try to resurrect Justice. And as Justice's daughter, obviously, there's a genetic match. However, because of this, a bunch of gears, including Dizzy, start to disintegrate, basically, and as a result, Kai seals her away in, like, another dimension, but that causes her in the main world to look like she's just, like, frozen, or, like, turned to stone or something. So in Guilty Gear 2 Overture, another weird quirk is because of not having the rights to certain characters, specifically I think X characters, more so than, like, Guilty Gear 1, because they do name drop Justice, but for Dizzy, they just call her the Maiden of the Grove, because they apparently literally couldn't refer to her by name because of these legal issues. So, by the end of Xrd Sign, the seal is broken and she's back and reunites with Kai and Sin. By the way, they have a son named Sin. But anyway, in terms of like the way this game is structured, and I think Sign is structured the same way, story mode is actually not playable. In this case, it's basically a visual novel. In Strive, it's basically an anime cutscene. Spin Costco. I'm trying to understand this reference, actually. Maybe I'm just very tired at the moment. But yeah, basically the story mode is completely non-interactive beyond, like, you know, you can mash through text if you want. Instead, the arcade mode essentially acts as... Oh, Sinkisk, I get it now. The arcade mode basically works like, well, episode mode is basically your arcade mode, and show prequel storylines to set up the plot of both Xrd Sign in that game, and also Rev 2's story. Like Accent Core to X2 Reload and Slash, and also the Midnight Carnival. When they actually updated the gameplay for Rev 2, they also expanded on the story. It's a completely different story that picks up from where Xrd Sign leaves off. That is a lot to explain, actually. Again, Guilty Gear is a weird series in how it structures itself sometimes. I'm gonna be a little bit risky. I'm gonna leave it at normal. The entire playthrough so far I've been sticking with beginner difficulty because I'm not that good. But I'm actually kind of feeling confident-ish with this game, to the point where I kind of want to actually see if I can get through it on normal. If you actually lose too much, it will go down in difficulty, and that's fine. Span Columbo. I guess Sin Kisk is a harder character to come up with, like, derivative names for. I like how the curse is already on Dizzy because I was doing a practice run. I also have a lot of the colors unlocked. Even compared to Strive, Xrd has a very different art style, I feel. It's hard to put into words, in my opinion, like, why this feels so different. But it definitely still feels distinct even from Strive. But also, hello, welcome everybody. We're just gonna get started with the gameplay right now. And I'm also not gonna talk about cutscenes as usual, so if I'm quiet for a bit, that's why.
ソルと共に元老院の侵略を退けたカイ。しかしそれはより巨大な陰謀の前触れに過ぎなかった。さらなる熾烈な戦いを予想し、一抹の不安を宿すカイの瞳の色をディズィーは見逃さなかった。
まさか再生するとは。
パラダイムさんの話ではもう少し時間がかかるそうですよ。らしくないですよ。あなたが弱気になるなんて。
そう見えますか。
そのような目で見ては剣がかわいそうです。
私の剣はいつの間にこんなにも短くなったのでしょう。以前はこの切っ先が届く中に世界が収まっていたのに。
覚えていますか？初めて出会った時のこと。あの時の言葉を今度は私が届けましょう。あなたを切ります。ギアには生きる価値がありませんか？私 日が暮れる前に帰りましょうね。
私はただ仲間を守りたいだけです。
守る。私もです。私もただ自分の世界を守りたいだけ。
言葉がわかるのですか。ならば我々は戦う必要などない。
いいえ、人が大きな力を恐れることは理解しています。互いに火がなくとも争いは起きる。
未知のものを恐れているだけです。
怪我をしないように気をつけて。まずどうぞ。
Alright, so we are jumping into gameplay. It would actually be very helpful if I was tapped into the game. This is like a very fun Guilty Gear to play. Definitely the most well-rounded of like the X-style games. It's also so mechanically dense that I will probably forget most of the combos I was practicing. But yeah, we have some interesting story beats going on. There's definitely a joke to make about Kai having issues with his sword, but I shall refrain for now. But also we have a bit of a retcon as well in terms of the story of Guilty Gear X actually, because of basically the introduction of the concept that Kai encounters Dizzy, and that's how they find out about her, and that's what eventually causes the bounty. So, yeah, it's very interesting how they basically went back to Guilty Gear X and added a bit to the overall lore there to establish a bit more of a connection between these characters. Playing on normal might have been a mistake, actually. I'm kind of getting bodied already. So, definitely doesn't bode well for later. Definitely need to, like, be a little bit more careful. And again, I need to remember to actually engage with the system mechanics of the game. That is the wrong input for that. So yeah, in general, Xrd is very fun. Again, it does have rollback, though I don't know how many people are like playing generally at this point. I can't imagine it's that many, because a lot of people did move over. But a lot of the Guilty Gears that got rollback, and a lot of the ArcSys games in general that got rollback, do still have pretty healthy player bases still, because these updates, you know, injected new life into these games. So other than having like bonus cutscenes throughout, it's basically just a standard arcade mode of sorts. And again, it's very interesting how this game handles its arcade mode by integrating it into the story, but also having the story mode separate. And this is also still a very pretty game. This is the PC version, obviously, since I've been hyping up rollback this whole time. But it still holds up pretty well visually, but again, it does still have a very unique vibe compared to Strive. Like, visually, it doesn't feel quite the same, despite going for the same cel-shaded art style. I kind of feel like, you know, visually, some characters, like, Dizzy has really large eyes in her in-game model, which definitely feels like a readability thing. Like, being able to read expressions with, like, smaller sprites. Probably partly because this game was originally for PS3, actually. At least, like, Xrd Sign was. I don't know if Rev 2 made it to PS3 or not. But I wonder if they exaggerated some of the proportions of characters just to make things a little bit more, like, readable for, like, a 720p game. And thus with Strive, they kind of didn't need to do that as much. That might be, like, reading way too much into it, potentially. Dizzy's very interesting in this game. She has a lot of her core kit from older games. But, for example, like, this, like, stab move here used to be, like, 5S, and now is like 4S, which does take some getting used to, obviously. That is not the super I wanted to do, but that's fine. A lot of her other moves are the same or have variations, like Necro has more like variations of attacks, rather than, like, you know, this, for example. So yeah, definitely a very well-rounded interpretation of this character, and a lot of fun. But again, also a little bit overwhelming as someone who's just been practicing a whole lot of X and Double X in all those games. Yeah, It's a little bit overwhelming having this many tools, to be honest, and again, as someone who's put more time into Strive also, it's a bit overwhelming. But there's a lot of charm, like there's a lot of custom win quotes for characters, which is very fun. You know, characters like Bedman, who will just like text wall you after winning. Dizzy's very cute. Again, I've definitely warmed up to her as a character, even beyond just like, you know, I guess maybe when I first got into Guilty Gear with Accent Core, I thought, oh, she's just like a fan service character. So I found that kind of off. But then it's like, she's got a really deep story even beyond that. And the more they cover her up, I think the more like her story aspects shine through. Which obviously culminates in Strive, just giving her like a queen dress. Why isn't Answer back, actually? Now that I think about it, it'd be interesting to see if they would bring Answer into Strive. Again, Guilty Gear is a series where the characters I care about, I, like, know everything about. A lot of the other characters that I'm, like, not as familiar with, I can't really tell you much about. So, like, I can't really explain much about Answer, unfortunately. Genuinely don't know his phone call, man. Basically... Ow. He's a very cool character, I just don't know anything about his story. Some of the characters, especially the newer ones, kind of don't have a lot going for them. Answer has a scarf and a phone and a snack. Yeah, he's got a really cool instant kill, so that obviously helps a lot. But yeah, I don't know much about his actual, like, story. And it's like the same thing with like Giovanna, for example. I think she's a really cool character, but being only in the one game so far, she ends up being a little bit like shallower than some of the characters who have like a lot more established history in the series. Yeah, I'm just kind of button mashing, to be honest. Is that what I meant to do? I don't think that's what I meant to do. Also, at some point, we do need to show off Dizzy's instant kill. Because it is considered the best instant kill in the game, partly because of how varied it is. And so it works for Chips, Ninja Nation. That would make a lot of sense. It's also interesting that there's still kind of the Disney princess energy of her being like connected to nature and animals. But yeah, having custom like win quotes for everybody at the end is really nice. But I imagine also it was easier for this game because only Sign had a dub. Rev 2 didn't. So by that point, I think it was just a money reason at that point. But having less languages to adapt the game into would help quite a bit in terms of stuff like that. Alright, so we got Soul. This is gonna go very badly, probably. Case in point, ouch, Soul hits like a truck, which is part of the reason. Also, like, Dusts actually have a dash version instead of like a vertical version, so that's also really cool. Alright, let's try a thing. This is probably a mistake, because I'll burn my meter if I mess this up. Okay, we got it, cool. First try. Yeah, basically every character has an instant kill. It's way easier than in the older games for Dizzy, because her input is hell in the older games. But yeah, this is considered one of the best instant kills, because every character has a very specific reaction to this. And also, instead of saying destroyed, it says surrendered, because they just give up, which makes sense. Unlike in like Guilty Gear 1, it's only a round, it doesn't count for the whole match. I'm pretty sure in Guilty Gear 1, if you actually IK, it will count as like an entire like set win basically, which is definitely a little bit broken, but let's be real, everything is broken in Guilty Gear 1. It's a fun game, I imagine, with people. Without people, it's awful. I'd say Guilty Gear 1 is like pretty painful to play. She also has a special, like, other super too, Imperial Gamma Ray as usual. There's also a weird gimmick with it, which I probably can't show off because I'm currently dying. There we go, actually got it first try. Weirdly enough, it actually destroys part of her outfit at low health, which basically gives her, like, her, X and X, or and double X design back. Though I actually don't know if it counts for the cutscene or not. Yeah, it doesn't seem to count for that, which makes sense. Which also makes sense because they do a flashback, so they just put her in that outfit anyway, so it makes sense that they'd have it. Actually, it does look like her, like, main shirt's gone. Burger Sheriff sighted. Isn't he, like, Gold Lewis's brother or something? Com level normal. Oh boy, it's going up. Again, I've never actually tried this difficulty before. I almost always would play it at beginner. And now we're going up against Faust right as the difficulty increases, so I am going to get bodied. No, it did. Don't ask me how closely I looked. I mean, to be fair, I'm also that way with Dizzy, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, she's very cute in this game. Though I almost feel like something is kind of lost a little bit in terms of, like, you know, she's less afraid of herself now, so she's got a very different energy in this game compared to in the older games, where they kind of, like, toy around with, like, the monster designs a little bit more, like, kind of merging with Necro for one super. Wow, he is really enjoying dusts at the moment. I'm not a fan. Alright, cool. Also, I do like how this... Also, by the way, I just want to point this out. All of our specials have the weirdest names. And if they keep these for Strive, I'm really looking forward to the narrator reading out all of these. Though I'm sure some in this list is going to get trimmed down, because this is a lot to take in. Yeah, very, like, specific names, and they actually, like, get renamed a lot. So it's like, these are a lot of the same moves, it's just they have slightly different names compared to in the older games. Yeah, this is a very flashy game, and I think Arxis really, like, for a first effort at this is, like, amazing still. Like, a very pretty game, but obviously, yeah, it's a lot. Xrd definitely is, like, almost a case of scope creep to some extent, and this is why a lot of, like, hardcore fighting fans still love and swear by Xrd, but I, as a very casual Guilty Gear player, am like, what am I looking at? And just kind of, like, my eyes glaze over a bit looking at all the combos, so I definitely kind of, you know, I understand the criticism. Oh. Dang. So yeah, this is Faust's, like, famous super. Ow. That did a lot of damage. So yeah, that was obviously just, like, changed to for very obvious reasons in the Strive to the stretcher super, or, like, the wheelchair super, which gives you the same effect of just, like, you know, character reacts big to something Faust does. It's really wacky. He's a really good character though, like, very fascinating. Like, he's just kind of like the silly little guy, as they say, but he also has, like, really, like, deep dark moments too, that really ground him. So it's, like, really fascinating how much Guilty Gear sometimes will have, like, really goofy characters with, like, really, like, human moments that are why I love the series so much, to be honest. This is not going great, unfortunately. I knew it wouldn't. Ow, we might die here, actually. We're kind of outranged is our problem, and I'm also really not sure about fighting Faust, usually. I'm probably burning meter for nothing here, but there we go. Trying to take it back a little bit. I don't know how I won that. That was way too close. Also, by the way, the Imperial Gamma Ray super does take, instead of half meter, it takes the entire meter. So is, like, definitely a... It does, like, 40 to 50%, but it burns all your tension gauge. So it makes sense that it's, like, super broken. It's also weird in the X games how much history these two characters have together, and that carries on beyond just, like, the X games, because apparently it's, like, heavily implied in the lore that, like, Faust helped to deliver Sin when he was born, so it's like, that's an interesting choice for a doctor for this, but again, there's, like, anti-Gear sentiment because of Justice, so, like, Kai and Dizzy's relationship is very much on the down low until this game, actually, where Dizzy, after being unfridged. They basically, like, she basically ends up helping out a lot to, like, protect the kingdom from an attack. So it kind of turns around anti-gear sentiment because of that. There's a whole after story episode about it. After story episode A, which is like all the after stories and actually all the main story stuff anyway, is all on the official Arxis YouTube, subtitled even. Though I think it's all in Japanese anyway, and like with English subtitles built in. But basically, I would recommend watching After Story A just because it's like it's bad guy Kisk family bonding, quote unquote, and it's like the funniest part of the game in my opinion. Just like Soul and Kai trying to work through their feelings on essentially like Soul being Kai's father-in-law at this point. And it's like, yeah, in my opinion, one of the funniest parts of like Guilty Gear storytelling ever. It's really good. Also, Dizzy still can like double air dash too. She can even go like back and forth like this for like a real weird mix-up there if you want, but I'm not that good at the game. Oh boy, we're kind of pinned down. Zato's like alive. That's another thing worth mentioning. Also, the opening cutscene mentions the Conclave. If I'm not mistaken, that's part of the post-war administration bureau. Also, the one with Venom and Robokai is very good too. Venom and Robokai in general are very good characters. And again, Robokai is also like a character who has really good like human moments, despite just also being like very good for comedic purposes as well. So Guilty Gear is very good at actually using its characters for both like human drama and also like just silly goof off set piece moments. Venom is a fantastic character, from what I understand. And again, if I had any idea of how to play as Venom, I would almost consider going through all of his story modes too, like we're doing with Dizzy. And again, it would ironically be the exact same games, because this first game was also X. We are doing shockingly well, to be honest. I'm a little bit worried about the final fight. Also, May's hard for me to fight, so this is a problem. You know, me, oh.
私のこの力はただ壊す力。教えてください。何かを守る覚悟とは、誰かを傷つける覚悟なのですか？
その問いは難しいですね。答えを一つに絞り込むには、人は幼すぎる。しかし、これだけはわかります。誰も傷つけない世界があったとしても、人が傷つかない世界はありません。いいえ、その傷を背負わない世界を私は人の世だと思えません。だから私は誰かを傷つけうる力や行いにどんな意味があるのかを考えるべきだと思います。
力の意味？
自らに問うこと。それをやめてしまった時こそ、人は誰かを傷つけても気づかなくなる。それはどんな暴力よりも恐ろしいことです。
私にもあなたのような心の強さがあれば。
そう思うのはあなたの心に椅子がないからでしょう。
椅子？
立ち話では心を開いた話はできない。だからあなたを切ります。
え？
So I think the takeaway of the story mode is that Kai Kisk has really interesting riz. For lack of a better term there. Yeah, I'm not really great at fighting Mei. For whatever reason. It's like Mei shouldn't be a hard matchup, and yet. So, we'll see how this goes. Also on normal difficulty, which I normally don't play on. And also I don't know what the hell she can do in this game. So being a little bit cautious. Also, Xrd has really good music. I almost feel like the Sign and Strive songs end up getting a lot more attention, because Xrd was kind of almost overlooked in a way, because it doesn't have like the cult classic appeal of like, or it's not as much of a cult classic because of how many iterations it got, and also being on Wii in the case of Accent Core Plus. but I almost feel like Xrd was a little bit overlooked, though I don't think it sold like badly or anything. It still had a pretty healthy like competitive scene. Totsugeki, hello Zarin, welcome. I hope everyone's having an alright day. I am very tired. I stayed up too late when I should have gone to bed early because I knew I would be streaming. But hi! Just gonna take a moment right now to say Zarin is very cute. As I'm struggling to get any momentum in this fight. That is Roman cancel. Please go into IK mode, Dizzy. There we go. So, hey, remember how I talked about not liking fighting Mei? There's reason for that. Because Mei is, like, very oppressive at times if she just starts spamming, dolphins. I mean, this is the second to last fight of story mode. If I lose this one, I'm not gonna even be that mad, just because we're at the end. It should be difficult. Also, I just remembered, like, the, wait, what would that be? 632? No. Whatever, like, forward circle, like, kick is, that move. The little, like, flame wheel. I just remember that move. How? Okay. Oh boy, ow. Ow. I did not mean to Roman cancel, but that actually worked out in my favor. Cool.
Go. どうしてですか？あなたには何度も私を撃てる機会がありました。どうしてそうしなかったのですか？
あいつの言葉を思い出しました。言葉をこじらせると伝わるはずの気持ちが伝わらなくなる。知ってほしかったんです。あなたの力を受け止められる人間もいるということを。
私、それとカイさん、日が暮れる前に帰りましょうね。あの時あなたはこう言いました。力とは大きさで測るものではない。100人の言葉が1人の独裁者に届かないことがあれば、1人の言葉が100人を奮い立たせることもある。力とはその時々で形を変える。求められるのはその意味だと。私の力も今は意味を持っています。
なるほど。
怪我をしないように気をつけて。まずどうぞ。
Alright, final fight of Dizzy's episode mode is obviously Kai, which I wonder if they will do that for Strive too. Ow, we are getting kind of bodied here. Everyone in chat is cute, by the way. Head pats if you have them. Because I probably won't be able to say much in this fight beyond that, because I am in focus mode. Okay. We can still pull this off, I think. Not if I throw it away like that. Ow. Okay, just run right into that. That works for me, Kai. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not used to the AI being this aggressive because I never play on this difficulty, so I am, like, actually sweating a bit here. Both literally and figuratively. I like how, like, hair ribbons also go down with her emotion. Just very emotive characters. And again, almost more emotive because, again, I think the eyes are bigger for a lot of characters. Oh, with that opportunity, I also am not roaming canceling enough. Which, roaming cancel is very broken in this game. It's actually, like, a notorious issue, apparently, that, like, YRC is, like, extremely overpowered or something. Okay, you can just spam that move. That works. Yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss of what to do here. Oh good, that hit, because we desperately needed that. Hi, welcome, we're just winning that. Pure luck, yeah, no kidding, game, thank you.
"今はちゃんと椅子がありますから。あなたが無事に帰り、そこに座ることができるように。
ありがとう。
So that was Daisy's episode mode, and she doesn't really play a huge role in the actual story mode, unfortunately. Again, mostly just helping to save the day, in terms of, like, keeping the town safe, if I recall correctly. The story modes in these games are very, like, wordy, like, surprisingly so, in a way that's kind of, like, overwhelming. There's a lot of lore. But hi, welcome. I'm doing okay, I think. I'm a little bit, like, tired for one thing. I definitely didn't get enough sleep. That's my own fault. But also, I just kind of feel like there's stuff happening, and I don't really want to go into it, though. But I'll be okay. Yeah, Dizzy is a character that does mean a lot to me, and I hope going through all the games where she has, like, major story events and, like, character development helps to show why I care about this character so much, why I connect with this character so much. For better or worse, you know, the overall theme of Dizzy is that she's a half gear, she's extraordinarily powerful, hence her instant kill move. But also, she has a pure heart and wants, like, to basically find a family and find people who, she basically needs to feel loved in a way, is kind of my interpretation. First with the Jellyfish Pirates, having a found family there, and falling in love with Kai and having Sitten as well. So she ends up having a family, and it also keeps getting bigger, because then there's all the Valentines who are all derived from Arya Hale, as is Jacko. So, again, ends up being a very big family, basically. So, a very, like, wholesome story, and as Guilty Gear of a way as you can get, of just being incredibly convoluted, and a little bit obtuse at times, but in general, I just find the story really charming, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. And, like, I don't know if this is a weird comparison, but I feel like I relate to Dizzy on some level, as someone who has gone through a lot of anxiety about a lot of things in life. So, and just, like, being afraid of hurting people and things of that nature. So that aspect of Daisy's character also clicks with me a lot in terms of her sort of, like, not learning to not be as afraid of herself, basically, and opening up to others. I think it's a very powerful story, and again, this is why Dizzy is effectively my favorite Guilty Gear character at this point. I don't think I explained that as well as I could have, to be honest. I'm definitely very, like, tired, so that probably could have been explained a little bit better. Interesting how Sega is still in the credits of this, so kind of a full circle moment. I don't even know why, if it was, like, for the arcade version. Probably for the arcades. Because I know Sega has, like, a huge arcade business. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where Disney's story goes for, Strive. Though the arcade modes aren't as, like, interconnected with the story, they're a little bit more standalone, but still have, like, good character moments, so I am very excited about that. So we've got, what, 2 weeks to go, until she drops in Strive? So yeah, very much looking forward to that. Alright, we actually had a pretty good run. Obviously a new record because again, I almost never play on normal.
はいもうご飯にしましょう
2 weeks till Halloween, yeah. I don't know what I'll do there, if I'll just move the stream. I might just do like a Thursday stream instead of a Wednesday stream just to play her day one, farm all the people trying to get used to her gameplay in terms of like ranked matchmaking. But yeah, we'll see. In terms of other Guilty Gears, I don't know. I'm not really feeling jazzed to play the others right now, but it's also partly just I'm really tired. So for like this dizzy retrospective / history of the character and like talking about why I care about her so much, I think this is a good place to call that. Because again, a lot of the other games don't even have that much story, like Iska doesn't. Dust Strikers kind of just goes through like events that don't really connect as deeply, so I almost feel like this is a good way to close out this little mini marathon of sorts. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this and also have a better understanding of the character as well. I hope I can like share my love of this character and explain like why she means so much, why I've been hoping she'd get into Strive for 4 seasons now, basically, at this point. And yeah, she's finally getting in. So yeah, I think that about wraps up my thoughts on this for now.